This episode is dedicated to Christine M. Coleman, a virtuous woman who lost her life at the hands of an abusive husband, and all of the women, men, and children who are victims, sufferers, and survivors of domestic violence. If you or anyone you know are a victim of domestic violence, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-SAFE or visit ncadv.org.
5 childhood friends
who partied in their 20s,
living in their 30s,
with ailments of women in their 50s.
I'm Jay.
I'm Shell,
Treese,
Ebony,
and I'm Tammy.
And after being friends for over 2 decades, you know what we realized?
We kinda old.
Hello world, this is your girl Jay, and first things first, we want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of We Kinda Old. Ladies,
Hey!
Now, as many of you know, October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and so we felt that it was important to educate and show our advocacy and support for domestic violence survivors. At the same time, some of us have our own experiences with domestic violence, so we certainly plan to share some of our experiences, and hopefully we can help someone listening who is in a domestic violence situation or somebody they know might be in a domestic violence situation, so we can kind of provide some guidance for those people. So first, let's just get it out the way. It is not okay in no way, shape, or form, whether you are the person providing the abuse or the person receiving the abuse. It's not okay. And a lot of people kind of think of domestic violence with a box concept, but there are so many different aspects of domestic abuse, and different things fall under that umbrella. So for one, a lot of people have the misconception that domestic violence is a man beating on a woman.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But we all know that that's not true. So do you guys have what are your thoughts on people just having that kind of, I don't know. Stigma. Yeah, if that's the better word for it. That stigma about the whole thing with a man beating on a woman.
I mean, I think that it's more sensationalized. You know what I'm saying? It's more commonly depicted, books, media, fantasy even. That's what people are showing. But I think a lot of people, just because that's what they see, the people who are fortunate enough to not have experienced it, don't understand or don't even realize that there's a much uglier side of it. Also, I forgot that that's what we was talking about tonight. And when you announced the topic, my motherfucking heart dropped.
I mean, it's
say that.
Definitely a sensitive subject for me, and I'm sure some of you ladies have had personal experiences or know somebody who have experienced domestic abuse, but I had to pretty much learn about it because of a situation that I'll probably get into later in the episode. But something that I found not interesting, but it was brought to my attention that abuse is not just a physical
Absolutely
type of situation. Like there are different types of abuse. Verbal abuse, of course the physical, emotional abuse,
psychological,
financial.
Elder.
It could even it could pertain to the elders, it could pertain to your children. So all of that can fall under a domestic abuse situation. Like if you are, causing unnecessary distress to your children, you could be considered an abuser. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's definitely an ugly word, but
I mean, it's an ugly situation.
Yeah.
You know, willful neglect is abuse.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's definitely different aspects. So I wanted to ask this question when it comes to the flip side of it, the side that doesn't get talked about as much when it comes to I'll say heterosexual relationships where a female is the one invoking the violence on the male and then the male retaliates. Do y'all think that the female is still considered the victim in that situation?
No.
If a person is fighting back, no. No, if a person is defending themselves, no. Oftentimes, the person defending themselves is going to best the person beating them, because when your fight or flight instinct kicks in, motherfuckers is gonna get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So do y'all know any particular situations where that has been the case? Like the woman initiates the violence, and because he retaliates, she calls the police, and he goes to jail.
Like real life situations, like personally, or are you talking about TV?
Period.
I do.
Well, it just happened on Marriage Boot Camp.
Right, that's what I was going with. That's what I was going with.
That's a fact.
I definitely know people family related. They've actually are currently going through that right now with their significant other. It is the woman who's doing the abusing, and she decided to call the police on him, saying that she felt like her life was being threatened, and she actually had the nerve to try to take him to court, you know, for a restraining order. Restraining order, whatever, and also to take, you know, custody of their children they had together. But her idiotic ass decided to record herself pretty much beating on him one day and saying, you know, this is proof that I'm scared for my life. And the judge was just like,
what?
And she's just dumb.
Okay, well, right. Like, we'll put the restraining order because you obviously don't need to be around each other, but you're the aggressor here. So,
yeah.
She has mental issues.
Right.
Yeah, and it sounds like, I feel like, you know, we are teaching our sons not to hit women, but are we teaching our girls not to put their damn hands on nobody for that matter, unless, you know, you are defending yourself. But are you also teaching your daughters, you can't jump up and puff up, you mad and jump up and puff up somebody's face and throw oranges at somebody's head or whatever the hell she threw, and expect him not to like defend himself.
Yeah, I think that is the problem. It's not even that we're not teaching them to not hit people. We're not teaching them the consequences, the possible consequences of hitting people or you know, inflicting any kind of physical harm towards people, male or female, because nobody, I don't think anybody's actually talking about the part that everybody ain't raised the same. Everybody is not raising their sons to not hit women. Everybody's not raising their sons to be, quote,